Oh yeah, that's it. You just tuned in to the Digital Cartridge Podcast with Sean and Micah. Listen up as they deliver you the most epic show covering movies, television, video games, and wrestling. And now, here's Sean and Micah.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Sean with the Digital Cartridge Podcast.
Hey, guys, it's Micah.
And this is not a PC podcast.
That's right. We're going to say all kind of stuff that you probably don't want your mom to hear. Fair warning, we are not experts by any means, but we are damn sure going to act like we are.
I'm far from being an expert. I don't know about that.
I mean, depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about that Urban Dictionary word, I'm pretty close to being an expert.
Oh man, that was an interesting word you picked in that off time.
Yeah, behind the paywall.
Yeah, behind the scenes. You might have to stick around for that one.
So, what you been up to since we recorded last?
Man, I've done a lot of traveling back and forth for work. I got to build a brewery. I'll leave that brewery's name not mentioned because I don't know, maybe they don't want me to know that I'm the one putting their beer system together and not the people that actually brew the beer. So you know everything about brewing it, but you don't know shit on how to put it together. So that's what I'm here for.
We'll just tag them in the Facebook post. It'll be all right.
Yeah, they're going to be like, oh, this motherfucker right here? That was me, baby.
Just tag everybody. Kind of like I did on that one post, tagging all the bands and shit.
Yeah, you got lucky on that. You got your little band liked you.
My little brush with fame.
Yeah, your like of fame. It would have been cool if they shared it for us. That would have been pretty interesting.
Oh, I was hoping, but no, maybe next week.
Yeah, we all have hopes. So, what have you been doing all week, man?
Not a lot. Work, same. Downloaded and got that new game going. That new zombie game, Days Gone.
Oh yeah, the one that everybody said's not going to be worth a damn.
Yeah, and I pre-ordered it anyway, like an idiot.
I'm pretty sure you're going to go beat the game anyway, no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's I played maybe 30 minutes, and it's GTA meets zombies. What's the oh fuck. What's that zombie game where you can build weapons? You know which one I'm talking about?
You can build weapons?
Yeah, and take pictures. Homeboy's a photographer in the first one. You're trapped in the mall.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Balls. I forgot. Anyways, it reminds me of that a little bit too.
Man, I haven't been playing much games. I did want to pick up that Mortal Kombat 11, but I had the demo, and I really enjoyed that. But I felt like Mortal Kombat's moved on since Mortal Kombat 3 Ultimate. I kind of lost interest past that. When it left the whole 2D era and went to this full 3D shit, I just kind of was like, I'm good.
I had someone was trying to explain to me the story and why new characters were in, but old characters are still out, and then why. Liu Kang's back now, and he's a god, and Raiden's not a god anymore. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense.
They probably got some multiverse now on the Mortal Kombat since it's, two different realms. They're like, well, this realm opened and this realm closed, so now there's 16 Liu Kangs and everything else.
Everything's got a fucking multiverse anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of like that movie with Jet Li. I think it was The One or whatever, where there's only 2 left, and if you killed one, it was the last one available.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's going to bug me. I can't remember the name of that game, and somebody's going to be listening you idiot.
We'll end up putting it in the show notes. We'll figure out who exactly it was.
But let's go ahead and get into our first segment because we got a lot to talk about when we get to our episode talk. You want to kind of tease everybody with what we're doing on episode talk?
Oh, well, this is going to be a long episode, too, so just letting you know, it's probably going to go longer than the last one, but we're covering Avengers Endgame, and it's feels like a rush because we both just got to seeing this movie, and I'm kind of affected by it still.
Yeah, it was heavy. I mean, I don't want to play my hand too fast or too early, but it was pretty heavy.
Yeah, so if you got time, grab you some tissues possibly, but we're going to get into
Battlemania. That is the title of our first segment. If you caught our episode last week, it is going to be a recurring segment that we're going to have where myself and Sean both pick a song, and the songs are put onto our Facebook page, which is Digital Cartridge Podcast, and you go on there and you vote for which song you like best. We added the rule last week that our songs had to have music videos, and that is something that we're going to both try to make sure we do going forward to try to make the experience a little bit better. But the winner of the poll moves on as champion. So in the first week, you won, correct?
Oh yeah, I won. All right.
Yeah, you killed me. So pulling up week 2 poll or episode 2 poll, we have a total of 11 votes, and my song won for episode 2. My song was Framing Hanley, and it was the rock version of Lollipop, which took out your champion of Pepper and Stormtrooper.
Yeah, I mean, going a second week along, with that song versus yours is kind of like a killjoy. I felt like I was kind of slacking on it.
So my song gets to move on, and you want to tell me, along with our listeners, what song you're going to go head to head with now going into week 3?
Man, I'm picking 3-6 Mafia, Where's the Bud? And this is from Chapter 1, The End album. And this was produced in 1996, written by Lord Infamous, rest in peace. It was just half brother of DJ Paul, and this video was late produced way after the song came out in 96, which is kind of amazing that they got this video produced like right before his death, because he died a couple years back. And it's now produced with actually Da Mafia 6, which is basically 5 of the original 6 members of 3-6 Mafia. It's basically all of them minus Juicy J.
Yeah, so we'll get that poll up a couple days after this episode drops. So you guys be sure to go on the Facebook page, listen to both songs, give them both a fair shake, and then let us know which one you like better. Right now, our record stands at 1-1.
Yeah, 1-1, man. I guess we're gonna have to put the little crown emoji next to our names every time, say who's the winner.
Yeah,
on the Facebook post.
Yeah, whenever I make that poll, I'll start doing that going forward, since I'll get the crown first, technically.
Yeah, so when you see this drop, vote for me, not Micah. I need to win again. Let's make.
I mean, it could be as bad as a Nerdy Thursdays poll where Sean just gets beat consistently.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could have had my one and done, and I could like literally lose every time. But now it's rap versus rock.
Now you got that taste of victory.
Yeah, I went a little hood rich on you, so we'll see if it sways any of the votes for it.
I'm gonna make sure I tag the bands too, so we'll see if we get a like and maybe even a share from them. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, we'd be lucky. Yeah, or maybe we'll just get a cease and desist letter instead.
Leave our shit alone.
We don't like you, man. Go on somewhere.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into a segment.
Hey, meet me over by the water cooler. So, what's up? I gotta fill you in on what I've been watching. Oh, jeez, this may contain spoilers.
Yo, Micah, so you caught up on any good shows this week, dude?
Man, so I've got a love-hate of this time of year right now, because all the shows are ending. Like, you get into like the season finales and stuff like that. And I've had like some season finales and a couple of series finales. So I'm a little bit, not to play my hand again, but I'm a little bit sad over some of these shows ending.
I mean, are some of them ending like for good, or is it just like season ends? Or are you getting like season finales right now?
No, so of course everybody knows Game of Thrones is coming to the end, and all these episodes are just building to something. But Gotham ended.
Never heard of it. Never ever. Never heard of it.
Gotham played like its final episode ever.
I haven't even watched a single episode of that. Like, I know my dad watched it a lot, and I know a lot of people have, but like all these DC shows that really popped around during that, I just never really cared into them.
It was good. It was young Bruce Wayne, and when they first started, like, they weren't even allowed to say Batman or Joker or they weren't allowed to use any of the names, so that made them take like a completely alternate path and tell a lot of stories that hadn't been told. And then the very last episode, they did a time jump and finally put the kid that had played Bruce Wayne into the Batman suit. So it was pretty cool.
I am Batman.
Yeah, it was cool to see. They didn't ever say Batman. Still,
that sucks.
They never said Batman, and they never said Joker. The guy that played Joker, he called himself Jay instead of Joker. So I don't know if there was a licensing issue or if they were just not trying to compete with that movie that's coming out with Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh yeah, that looks really good. I mean, we're gonna get that good creepy psychotic Joker. Hopefully, kind of like Heath Ledger even played. Maybe he'll because I know Joaquin Phoenix gets deep into roles, like really deep, and we'll see how good that plays out.
It's got to be better than Jared Leto's Joker because his Joker was awful.
Yeah, I mean, it was a cool take on it. Wasn't really just my style. I mean, I know isn't Suicide Squad 2 coming soon?
Yeah, and I know Will Smith's not going to be in it. I heard that.
Yeah, who got that position, that role?
I don't know if they're even recasting it, to be honest.
Well, I know they're not going to play Deathstroke again. It's going to be somebody else playing a similar role that's in that because I guess they're as a respect for Will Smith. And hell, speaking of Will Smith, I saw the new Men in Black trailer.
The Men in Black International.
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, that played today before our movie, and that looked pretty good.
But yeah, man, that Men in Black International looks pretty cool. I mean, I think it's funny that Chris Hemsworth and the chick that plays Valkyrie in the movie that we're gonna cover in today's episode are in that, right after this. So I think it's pretty interesting they cast both of them just like that.
Yeah, it looks decent. Looks pretty decent. I don't know. I also had a trailer for Fast and Furious, the Hobbs and Shaw one, and I don't know. I'm kind of over that. So
I think they could have not brought it into the Fast and Furious timeline and just put a movie with both of them together and just been okay.
yeah, and I know there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff and everything, but I don't know. If it's not a Vin Diesel or a Paul Walker, it doesn't feel like Fast and Furious to me. But
oh yeah, I mean we're not going to get no more Paul Walker. I mean unless his brother's going to do some motion caps and stuff like that for him.
And they went on record and said they would, but
yeah, I mean I think it's just over and done with it. Probably just out of respect in general. I mean
I'd be okay with that.
I mean, yeah, I mean, God, I mean, when I saw them split away in that final scene, man, I was just heartbroken from that.
Oh, it was tears.
Yeah, man, I caught up on some. I finished up on my Superstore in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and it was cool because the latest episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine has Sean Astin, Rudy, in it, and the whole episode's talking about they're trying to catch a hacker that's in the building, and just this random shit's going on, and playing just a cat and mouse game, checking floors and whatnot. And Sean Astin was actually this IT guy, and he's telling him, everything. He's oh, he's over here in room 103 or whatever. Ends up being Sean Astin himself because he's trying to cover up and delete some evidence the whole time. So it's a pretty fun episode.
How does that Sean spell his name?
It's SEAN, the correct way.
The correct way to spell Sean?
Yes, that is correct. That might be a jab at anybody else that doesn't spell their name Sean. I'm sorry if y'all are listening, but this is the correct way, and you're just going to have to deal with it. I saw on YouTube, just scrolling around, the little trailer promo for Cobra Kai Season 2's out, and I watched an episode or two of the first one that came out, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, but it kind of just died off. And now that the second one's out, I'm like, all right, it looks better. I'm sold more. I'm like, y'all put some effort into it. It's 2 seasons in. I mean, I know it's YouTube original, so I mean, it's probably a $500 budget or something like that.
You talk about Amazon Prime. You want to talk about that trailer you shared?
Oh man, The Boys, man, that looks really good. I just love the outtake of some good bad superheroes, and the dude from Preacher's in it, and he's kind of like the Punisher-esque type of person. It's dark. I love it. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, it looked really good. I'm all down for a different take on, the common what's the word I'm looking for? The common shit. I don't
know the word you're looking for.
The way we've been presented characters so far. If it's something different, the movie where Superman is a bad guy. That new.
Oh, you mean Brightburn?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a take on the Superman story, but yeah, I mean, it's just we've had all these lollipop type movies the whole time and bubblegum lollipop type shit, and now it's let's get nitty gritty. I mean, there's no originality anymore. I mean, everything's going to have to take from something, and they just have to twist it and go with it now.
The only other things that I really been watching, Amazing Race is back on. Like I told you with Survivor, I'm a sucker for reality shows. That's another one of them shows.
Oh, I know.
I would love to be on Amazing Race and be able to go around the world and see places. That would be dope. So I've been watching that, and the season finale of The Magicians, not series finale, season finale, but that was the finale on that, and I told you and I told a couple of the other guys, like, that's one of those shows I want everybody to watch, because when that finale hit, they played it so well. So there's not to, I don't want to give away too much, but there's a character that dies, and I read an article after the fact, and this character, when they filmed the scene where like he dies and then has like kind of, he gets to see everybody else moving on and see that everybody's going to be okay. Like the rest of the cast didn't know like he was dead, like he's done with the show, like he's off the show. So like they didn't know he's off the show until they watched the episode air. So like that hit me like a ton of bricks too.
Oh, that kind of sucks. It's kind of like when I worked at Circuit City and we thought it was the holiday kickoff meeting, and it's more like, oh, we're getting liquidated and going under, and I'm like, oh shit, And I was an installer in the car audio section back there, and they're like, you got to get your tools out within 48 hours of its property at the liquidators, and I was like,
What
yo,
the fuck?
yeah. So I'm like, yeah, I got to have that myself.
That's crazy. Last thing I want to talk about and just hit on is Game of Thrones. Like I said, I've been watching it. The first 2 episodes were a whole lot of info. I know there's been a lot of backlash on the internet for people hating on it because there wasn't a whole lot of action. But to me, that's because they're building up to the action. So now we've got all these remaining episodes that's going to be chock full of action. And I'm assuming, I mean, it's on right now as we're recording. So I'll probably try to watch it first thing tomorrow. But my big theory, I know you don't watch Game of Thrones at all, but the big theory that I had that I got to thinking about the other day was with the crypt, and anybody who watches Game of Thrones will know what I'm talking about, the crypt at Winterfell. I have a feeling that Homeboy's going to raise all them dead people out that crypt, and they going to kick some ass.
So you might as well just call the dead people some Bloods, so it'll be Crips versus Bloods.
Crips versus Bloods.
Yeah, man, gang wars.
Gang gang. Ain't that a new saying now? Gang gang.
Yeah, gang gang, man.
Gang gang, man. I don't even know what I'm saying. Man. I'm so old.
Oh man, I'm so old. I got a receding hairline now.
But let's get into it.
And now, what you came here for, the main topic.
Dude, do you know what I just got to seeing earlier this weekend?
The same thing I got through seeing about 6 hours ago, I hope.
Yeah, man. The movie that's already brought in over $1.2 billion.
That's just nuts.
Dude, it's 11 years of history. It brings one of the greatest sagas to an end.
That's insane how much money it's already made.
And that is Avengers Endgame. Golly, man. This movie, man, I went in emotional. Like I knew that I was going to walk in this and just like my nerves are shot. I'm like, dude, this is so built up. 11 years of this and like 22 movies. I'm just, oh my God. Like I felt like I was shaking, like my knees were shaking, like right when the opening scenes are coming in and everything. And it was an emotional roller coaster. And dude, I've got some really in-depth notes, almost like a play-by-play for this whole movie that we can run through. And just letting you know right now, everybody, this is your spoiler warning. Like if you haven't seen this movie and you're willing to listen right now, go ahead. But we're going to unreveal like literally like 99% of this movie to you.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen it, you should probably skip ahead at least like 30 minutes, 45 minutes,
forever. No, you just skip ahead to the next episode. Just skip ahead 2 weeks and just come back then.
Yeah, I mean,
but still listen to it. Come back, listen.
Come back and listen. Skip ahead and then come back and download again. I mean,
yeah,
we like them downloads.
Yeah, they're pretty good. But yeah, man, this movie opens up like the opening scene is literally running off from the end of Infinity War, and it's with Clinton Barton, Hawkeye. He's outside with his family, like having a picnic, and you can see he's under house arrest. He's got an ankle bracelet on, kind of like Ant-Man had. And his wife Laura's out there asking the family what toppings they want for hot dogs, and she literally asks mayo or mustard. First off, who the hell puts mayo on a hot dog?
This guy.
Really?
Actually, well, correction. I put Miracle Whip because Miracle Whip's better than mayo.
All right, dude. You're going to hell. I'm just letting you know that right now. I mean, but like even like Chicagoans, they like hate on anybody that puts ketchup on a hot dog. But you look on any like hot dog wrapper thing, it just always shows like mustard and ketchup on hot dogs, but not mayo.
If you want some good Miracle Whip, mix it in, make some coleslaw, and then put that on a hot dog.
Man, maybe one day. I mean, I know some people like dip their fries in mayo and stuff, but that is not even for me. But oh man.
Yo, so that opening scene, like, was his ankle bracelet, and I know this is probably like something that I would have picked up on, like if I went back and rewatched, but is that from the Covia Accord or whatever it was, where they weren't going to be superheroes anymore?
I really don't know on that, but I've already watched this movie twice. Just letting you know, I watched it again today, like right before this recording, as like for a recap.
I didn't know why he had an ankle bracelet on. I wasn't sure.
I mean, maybe he got in trouble, that's why we didn't see him at all, in Infinity War. It was something going on in the last Avengers movie before this.
I didn't know if it was from Civil War, because the Civil War was where they outlawed them or whatever, or banned them from, coming out. And
yeah, because basically, in Infinity War, they're supposed to be court-martialed when they run into Rhodey in the office.
Right. So maybe that's why he had the ankle bracelet. We're not experts.
I'm not expert at all, and this is so biased. So just letting you know. And then like they're out. She asks him, what they want on the hot dog. He turns around and everybody's missing. You hear the thunder in the background, which is exactly what you heard in like Wakanda and everything else when Thanos did the snap and everybody was erased. I mean, you see particles of his daughter just like off in the air.
That was sad.
It was sad. I mean, that's one of the first sad moments. I mean, I wasn't really attached as much to Hawkeye right then. I mean, because like I said, we got a whole movie without him, and then we just open up this opening scene and his family vanishes. We've seen people vanish in Infinity War, so like we were prepared for people to vanish. But then, I mean, like literally after that, it cuts to Tony Stark and Nebula on the Guardians ship. I mean, and they're playing paper football. And,
dude, can we talk about how skinny he was?
Oh, dude, he was sickly, like very sickly.
Like that was some good ass CGI. Like homeboy looked like he weighed 100 pounds.
He could have starved himself like Matthew McConaughey did in that one movie.
The Dallas Buyers Club.
Yeah, the Dallas Buyers Club. He literally got that skinny, and I was like, man, dude. But I mean, Tony had to look sickly. I mean, it's been 22 days since the snap.
Yeah, and you said that 22 was an Easter egg, right?
Yeah, it's got to be an Easter egg because I mean, this is the 22nd movie, right? So I mean, why not have it like that's a good Easter egg? And there's like over 200 Easter eggs in this movie, let alone.
That's a pretty good pull, though.
Yeah, but they were playing paper football, and I love that because I remember playing that back in middle school, like at the lunch tables. Just always wondering if that little triangle was going to nail you in the eye or anything.
I didn't ever really play paper football that much.
Well, man, next time we get together, I challenge you in a game of paper football.
I challenge you to a duel, sir.
Yeah. But yeah, there's like 48 hours as of this 22 days left on that ship. There's 48 hours left on that ship for the oxygen and then like their OV. Tony passes out. Nebula throws him gently puts him up in the chair, and he's just, like looking off into space, like passed out, and just sees this big old bright glowing essence. And of course, it's Captain Marvel. She's answering her page before, Nick Fury went off into the dust.
So can I touch on that for a second?
Yeah, and knock yourself out.
Like, how does she know where to find them? Was the first thing I thought.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, maybe she's just flying through space. She knows people.
Well, with the end credit thing from Captain Marvel, like where she shows up and she's like, she got the page or whatever, like the after credit scene from Captain Marvel. Yeah. She shows up at the Avengers HQ. So I guess they're just playing off of that, and they tell her where they last saw them, maybe.
Or maybe like Tony's, his reactor has like a GPS homing device in it or something that related to that pager that signaled off of it, maybe.
Or his transmissions, like where he was trying to record that message to Pepper, was actually going through.
Yeah, possibly so.
That kind of bugged me a little bit. She was just like, out of all the places and all the light years, and like, oh, found this ship.
Oh yeah, and then like, here's the thing. Like they are like light years away from wherever they're supposed to be at. So she shows up there and literally carries them back all down to Earth. I'm like, you had to have been balling like, light speed fast to, get them all the way back with 48 hours left before, Tony's dead, And I was like, when that scene happened, I really thought Tony was fixing to die. I'm like, damn, they're going to kill him off so early in this movie. I cannot deal with it. And, you know, like I said, this is only 22 days. You know, they bring him down. She brings him down to the Avengers headquarters, and out comes walking is, you know, Captain America, Bruce Banner, Black Widow, and Rhodey, War Machine, and then Pepper Potts too. And then, you know, they have the little meetup and everything. And of course, you know, the tension's still there between like Cap and Tony just a little bit. And Tony, you know, immediately talks to Captain America about how he lost the boy. And I mean, I'm like sitting there like, damn, yeah. I mean, make me want to cry again for the second time already in this movie, you know?
Yeah, I kind of felt bad for Tony, to be honest, because at some point the Captain America thing gets a little old. Like, everything's gonna be okay, and he's like, "No, motherfucker, these people are dead."
Yeah, I mean Tony's, you know, he's normal. I mean, he's just a rich man with a suit. We're like Captain America, he's a super soldier, you know, and everybody else has their things. But I mean, he took losing Peter Parker like super personal. I mean, he doesn't get close to, you know, anybody young ever, you know. And we'll touch base on that in a little bit even. And just thinking that, you know, though he's taking it so much, he's beating himself up over, you know, Spider-Man, you know, being gone. But I mean, you got to think there's thousands, trillions of people, you know, that disappear because this is universes that are gone. And, you know, after that, you know, they're outside and the scene cuts to the inside and they're all having a little talk. And then, of course, Thor and Rocket are there. Then Captain Marvel, like, she comes to the conclusion she's going to go kill. She's like, fuck it, I'm going to go kill Thanos on my own. You know, I'm going to knock this motherfucker out, do my thing. And, but that's when, like, Rocket starts monitoring cosmic activity when he's there and figured out that Thanos had just recently used the stones. And what's cool is they got Nebula, which is daughter of Thanos. You know, she knows all of his plans. Like, he has literally told her everything, you know, because he tried to build like this perfect machine, which is her. And, you know, they're like, hey, we know where the stones are. Let's go into space, you know, and reverse the snap, you know. But, you know, Nebula's been talking about Thanos and this garden because, like, his prophecy, you know, he's had this thing in his mind for all these years on, you know, how it's going to be.
So, and I may have spaced out a little bit at that point. Like, did Captain Marvel go with them to Thanos' garden?
Yeah, like she was. Yeah, they all, because they all rode off into space together.
That's right. They were all on the ship together.
Yeah, and then she's like, "Hold up, guys! I'm gonna go like check out the area." And she goes, flies around. And she's like, "There's no satellites, no armies, just him." You know.
That's right. I forgot.
Then it goes to the cut scene where you see Thanos walk through his garden, and he's limping. You know, I'm thinking like, "Damn, dude, did they really beat his ass that bad?" You know, or you know, is he really just hurt from when Stormbreaker got shoved in his chest? You know. But no, what happened is when he snapped, it like burned up half of his body.
Yeah, it took its toll on him.
Yeah, so he's just chilling in his little farmer den. You know, this is Farmer Thanos. You know, old McDonald had a Thanos farm, and the Avengers that are left there, you know, they just storm rush him. Like, they go in there and, like, you know, left, right, you know, everybody's got their beat on them, and Thor comes in and chops his freaking arm off where the gauntlet is. I mean, why not? You know, he's got an axe. And
I like that part because that was one of the big things. Like, everybody was like, why didn't they just chop his arm off in the Infinity War? Like, to get the glove off, they just kept saying, why didn't they chop his arm off to begin with?
Well, I mean, the Russo brothers probably answered that. They're like, all right, we'll let you chop his arm off. And then, you know, they look at the gauntlet and the stones are gone. And he literally tells them that he snapped again and deleted the stones. Which was, you know, I'm like, damn, you know, I'm like, how's this movie going to go now? There's no stones, you know, what's the theory now, you know? And then Thor just gets pissed and went for the head this time. He cut Thanos' head, clean the fuck off. And honestly, that could have been the end of the movie, and I would have been content. Like, all right, Thanos is dead, you know, these are the people that are left. It is what it is, you know, we'll rebuild from that.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of surprised to see him kill him off that quick. Like, they just kind of went for it, and it made sense that they needed the time jump to happen after that, because they were playing up that scene having taken place like 2 days later or whatever it was from Infinity War. So that made sense for the time jump that come up after that.
Oh yeah, I mean, it immediately, like I said, that could have been the end of the movie, but like it leaves that and goes 5 years later. Like, you saw Thanos get his head cut off, that's all you see. Then it goes 5 years later, and it's literally in Captain America's support group. It was called "Where Do We Go Now That They're Gone."
I liked how they come in and they show like all the boats around the Statue of Liberty, and like City Field was empty, and like all these cars were everywhere. Like they were kind of showing the devastation of like all these people are gone. Like there's nothing left anymore.
Oh yeah, because I mean he disappeared. What raised 50% of the universe, which that's all like living creatures, even like birds and insects and all. But like he didn't delete the cars, and everything. Which I mean, there's just so much shit. I mean, if I was in that area and I survived, I would have been looting like crazy. I mean, even though it would have had no positive outcome for it.
TVs on TVs on TVs.
Yeah. And then, there's the support group, and it's got actually the co-director Joe Russo in there, and he's playing an openly gay character, which that's pretty cool. I mean, there hasn't been just a person like that in all these movies. I mean, you've had some of your female characters and stuff like that, but like now you got your first openly gay male, in the support group, which it was a nice notion for some people.
Yeah, and I liked how, again, you got the Captain America character trying to be this support, and like I'm the heart and soul of this, and I'm the support of this, and I'm gonna keep us pushing forward. Like that was something they kept coming back to, it seemed like.
Oh yeah, I mean he's always looking for the greater good, but I mean it's like one of those old VA like support groups that they would have, and I was like, well, I mean this is what he would know to do. I mean he's been around forever too. Oh man, then it's like, oh, you dirty rat. That's talking about the Ant-Man scene. There's literally a rat in this like U-Haul like storage lot where they keep Ant-Man's van at, where they got towed to. There's all of his stuff and just a little locker that says Lang, and it's just walking around on this little like keypad and unlocks the quantum tunnel and out poops freaking Ant-Man.
Yeah, that seemed a little forced to me.
Well, I mean that's the true hero in this whole story. Then is the rat.
Yeah. And the cameo, the first cameo was the security guard was the guy from
It's Dr. Ken Jeong.
Yeah, what's that movie he's in where they all get drunk? The Hangover.
Oh, the Hangover. Yeah.
That was.
You want to fuck on me?
That was the first cameo I recognized.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of cameos I think throughout the whole movie, but I mean, that was a very one. Like when you see that, like, oh yeah, I know who the hell that is. So that's cool. Like Scott Lang comes out. And he figures out that, I mean, it's been 5 years, like 5 years later.
Yeah, because he walks across, like they've got a memorial statue garden set up, and he starts looking for his daughter's name for some weird reason.
Yeah, he looks for Cassie first, he's like, oh, don't let it be, and then he sees his name of all the names. So he goes running, looking for, goes to his house, and knocks on the door and sees this girl that's literally 5 years older than what Cassie would have been, and didn't really put two and two together till she came to the door and was like, Dad. That was a nice heartwarming moment, from some of the trauma that we've seen earlier.
Yeah, and she would have been, I'm trying to think how old she was in the Ant-Man movie. She was probably 14, 15 now, because it's in timeline it's 2023.
Yeah.
So that character would have been 14, 15. Like you could tell that it was a different actress and she was older.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it hasn't been 5 years since Infinity War. I mean, it's been what? Has it been a year since we've seen it, or has it been 2 years?
It's been a year
since it came out in theaters.
A year.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, yeah, in theory. So, but yeah, I mean, they did good casting. I mean, who knows what she would have looked like, 5 years older anyway. The only way we're gonna be able to do that is look back at this from 5 years and be like, no, that girl that played Cassie looks nothing like this girl. We're gonna have to superimpose her in the movie and do it all right now. Yeah.
So then it kind of jumped from there to Black Widow had taken over as kind of like the Nick Fury role, I thought.
She's having the roundtable discussions.
Yeah, and we get the first look at Captain Marvel with her new haircut from the classic haircut.
Yeah, the boy cut, the little classic cut. I mean, it's cool. I personally, I think I like her with the longer hair. I mean, but it's something you gotta get used to. I mean, if anybody gets a haircut, you just gotta get used to it.
Yeah, and I think that was more of a fan service thing than it was of a necessity or anything like that.
Well, I mean, this has to be like, this is the last movie, so I mean, they have, if the fans wanted it and they were willing to do it, they're kind of just gonna throw it in there to make everybody happy.
Yeah, and I feel like they did quite a bit of that, but they nailed it every time that they did.
Oh yeah, and then after the little roundtable discussion that's got everybody talking up, Cap's just talking to her, and out of nowhere comes Ant-Man at the front gate, just saying, hey, I'm Ant-Man, what's up guys?
Yeah, I liked her. He says, "Is this an old video?" And she goes, "No, that's the front gate right now."
Yeah. So, I mean, that was kind of a confusing relief, as he comes in, telling him where he's been. He's all like distraught, steals Natasha's peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and starts babbling about like this time travel idea because he knows how the quantum realm is. Um,
That was the first time in movie that they explained it a little bit, because he says it's been 5 years for you guys, but it's only been 5 hours for me.
oh yeah, and he tells him, how time works out in the quantum realm versus the real world, and that's where I guess he gets his biggest idea for the whole time travel from.
Is that the first time they dropped the Back to the Future reference?
No, they mention that whenever they go see Tony,
Okay,
and he starts talking smack to him, basically.
gotcha.
Yeah, and then they leave there and they go. You see a little section of Tony Stark, and at his little country lakeside house, and he goes out for lunch and is talking, and he has a daughter, and her name's Morgan. That was predicted when he had that dream talking to Pepper Potts. He had a dream, they had a daughter, all this other stuff. So that was a good premonition, for this towards this movie.
What movie was that? The Dream in? Because I don't remember that.
It may have been Infinity War, don't get me lying. I mean, I just remember they were, I think, in the park. They were out jogging or something. That's what I can remember.
At the very beginning of Infinity War, yeah, they were in the park talking about getting married and whatnot. So that checks out.
Yeah, because I think it was right there. Was that around the same time that Doctor Strange came and was like, "Hey," and the Hulk were like, "Yeah, we need you." Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's where that's another little. I guess you consider it Easter egg or maybe just a callback. One of the two. But at that time, the three arrive, which is Thor, Ant-Man, and Natasha. They pitched their idea to Tony,
Captain America,
and that's when he's like, "Yeah, Captain America," and they were talking about the whole Back to the Future idea back and forth, which is funny. But I mean, like us, I mean, the only thing we know about time travel is movies like that, Time Cop, Back to the Future.
They even mentioned
whatever else.
They mentioned Time Cop. They mentioned Back to the Future. They mentioned Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Oh yeah,
like they mentioned quite a few.
Yeah, too bad they didn't mention Idiocracy because they had a time machine there and that was inside of a Costco. Oh man, but they pitched the idea to Tony and he's not having it, man. He's he's got his family, he's got a daughter now. For him, honestly, what's the past? He doesn't want to affect his future at all.
Yeah, he seems pretty content with the life that he has.
Yeah, so they bounce out and they go find the Hulk, and this is where one of my predictions was somewhat right. They go to the Hulk and it's Professor Hulk, and that was a good shock. I wish they kind of could have brought it up, but it's been 5 years. Everybody's been doing their things, but I think they played a very good role of the way they mixed it and showed their own Professor Hulk for this.
Yeah, with the kids coming in wanting selfies and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell it was obviously like a confidence booster for him because Bruce is not like, he's a little like sheltered acting, but now he's all like, Mr. Let's get in the media, I'll do it for the fans, do it for the kids type of thing.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, they pitched the whole time travel idea for it. He was like, whatever, we'll try it. And then after that, it switches to another scene where Tony is toying around with Friday, his AI, about a model for this quantum tunnel, and it hits a success rate and he nails it. He's like, oh. And I guess at this time he's like, I figured it out. I got to go do it.
Yeah, I think Pepper even makes the comment like, "Can you live with yourself if you don't try?" or something like that.
And yeah, that's been one of Tony's like big things all the time. Is he always? It's like a challenge every time. Like he has a guilt trip now, especially because of the whole snap. They they all feel like the weight's on their shoulders.
Yeah, and he's the one that kind of had the premonition of the snap too, so I think he feels a little bit more responsible.
Oh yeah, so he takes his ass over to the Avengers HQ and comes flying around the corner in an Audi. But I got one question real quick. It's 2023, right? Half the population's gone. Does Tony Stark own Audi? Because like this is some like badass car, that comes around. He's flying around, and like I'm pretty sure like half of these people that design the cars are dead, and they're just going to keep making base models.
I mean, it was definitely a product placement for a commercial for an Avengers Audi. It felt like.
Oh yeah, I mean they've been in every movie pretty much. So, but yeah, I mean Iron Man comes around the corner, Cap's outside, he has a talk, and he's like, "Yo, I figured it out. And by the way, I made you a shield, but don't tell nobody."
So that was one of my favorite scenes, though, for when Ant-Man was sitting outside, and right after that happened, he's sitting there trying to eat the taco when everybody else starts showing up.
Yeah, and Professor Hulk is like, here, take two, actually. But, they started assembling the team by there, and by then you've got Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow, Professor Hulk, Ant-Man, and then Nebula. And then, Rocket and War Machine show up, and they're like, all right, let's go get Thor.
And it was Hulk and Rocket that went after him, right?
Yeah, they went after him. They flew in the Guardians ship to wherever they needed to go, and then they hopped in the back of a truck and took a ride to New Asgard.
This was probably one of my favorite scenes of the movie. Is seeing 5 years later Hulk, or 5 years later Thor.
Oh yeah, your Fat Thor that they end up showing.
Yeah, Fat Thor.
Yeah, Fat Thor. I liked Fat Thor. I mean, I like Thor ever since he's become more like on the comedic side. I think that's opened it up a lot to balance out the seriousness and the funniness, and he plays a pretty good one.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's where he needs to stay to have a success with that character.
Oh yeah, I thought it was funny when they go over to his little hut or house or wherever that Meek and Korg are in there playing Fortnite, and he's getting bullied on the headset, and Thor puts on the headset and he's like, "I'm gonna come over there and yada yada yada."
Yeah, run and tell your dad.
Yeah, that was really funny. This Thor, God of Thunder. That was good. I mean, Korg's always hilarious. So, and they convinced Thor to join the team, and then it cuts to another scene where you see Hawkeye, which is now Ronin. He's out there going rogue, killing all these bad guys. And what was this, Japan?
Yeah, it was Tokyo.
Yeah, Tokyo. I mean, he's out there just slicing and dicing up, the mafia, just, I guess, taking out the rest that Thanos didn't take out with the snap. He's just going to take out the rest of all these bad guys, since who says it was a completely, balanced snap, of like good versus bad, it's just like 50% of the universe. So there may have been like 80% bad guys, 20% good guys out there in Tokyo.
Yeah. And that was a good emotional scene too, having Natasha and Hawkeye or Ronan see each other for the first time in movie lore in 6-7 years.
Oh yeah, and then she's he makes that one mention. He's like, "Don't give me hope," and that's when he was just like, "All right, I'm coming with you."
Yeah, and they had a good little foreshadowing moment where they kind of went hand in hand, holding hands together.
Oh yeah, I mean they've always had a close. I mean it's almost like brother sister type relationship.
There was an Easter egg I saw, and it may have been in that scene, or it may have been later whenever they go due to their mission. But at some point, she has a necklace on that's got an arrow on it, and that's got to be like a Hawkeye reference.
Oh yeah, it has to be. I mean, I saw a meme today actually where it was a picture of Hawkeye and Ronan and his haircut, and it says, "When your barber, gets mid snap," and it's because he's got the mohawk, so the sides are saved. I thought it was pretty funny. But now they got everything. They got all the team. Everybody's there. They can start figuring out where in history to go get these stones. And basically at this time, Thor is turned into the Big Lebowski. He's just sitting in the corner, and he looks like the dude. I was like, golly, that had to have been a small Easter egg type or reference.
Somebody ends up calling him Lebowski at one point, but I don't remember who.
Yeah, it was probably Tony. Tony's shooting all these references left and right, or it may have been Ant-Man. I can't remember.
So yeah, they split into the 3 teams to go after.
Yeah, the stones. They have the New York team that's going to go for the Space Stone and the Time Stone, which is Tony, Ant-Man, Captain America, and Hulk. And then you've got the Asgard team to go get the Reality Stone, and that is Thor and Rocket. And then you've got the Morag Vormir to go get the Power Stone and the Soul Stone, which that ends up being the rest of the team, which is Natasha, Ronan, Rhodey, and Nebula. Yeah, and they go off, they all go do their things. And I'm not going to spoil all this. Like, this is literally like an hour more of just like scenes of like how they're going back into history and getting these stones because they know the timelines of when they had to get them. And I'm going to tell you right now, like, mishaps happen along the way. Like, alternate timelines happen. There's some crazy shit that's going on, and this is where like I'm not going to get into plot holes on this whole section, but like you can't change what's already happening. What's over there at, you can't change that. But anytime you do something, you're causing alternate timelines left and right.
Yeah, and they tried to at one point, like, they try to explain it, and they talk about the comments made of what has already happened has happened, but your past becomes your future, and like they're trying to. It's starting.
It gets. I got lost in it. Like, I understand, like, because they tell you Back to the Future is not Back to the Future, this isn't that. And I'm like, look, we kind of know how time travel works theoretically, but, of course, in the MCU, time travel does a whole nother way because, the Hulk ran into the Ancient One and all this. It kind of gives you a description. But at that point, I was just like, I'm going to let what happens because you're trying to put together 22 movies. There's going to be some continuing issues the whole time. So basically, they go get all the stones and they end up at the rendezvous point back at the the HQ.
Yeah, and they do a good job of like playing into the other scenes. Like, it was nice to go back and dip your toe into scenes from old movies, because they go back to 2012, they go back to 2014. So that was cool to see and go back and dip your toe into that. And one of my favorite parts of that was whenever Captain America, it's like he gets in that elevator and he's about to, you think he's about to have that famous elevator fight, and then he just kind of leans over and he whispers in Homeboy's ear and he's like, "Hell Hydra." Like,
yeah, that's taken, kind of straight from the comics where I think they were talking about how Captain America, they thought that was a secret Hydra agent the whole time.
mm-hmm. So that was more fan service stuff.
Oh yeah. And then, there was a little Disney thing where they're having that fight scene and Loki runs off with the Tesseract, and that's where we get to the alternate timeline part, because if he ran off that Tesseract right there, that's how he gets his TV show on Disney.
Mm-hmm, on the new Disney Plus.
Yeah, Disney Plus. Like we was talking about promotion, Disney. If you want to support us, we're still talking about you. Looking for that sponsorship still.
So, yeah, hashtag Disney.
Yeah, hashtag give me some free tickets. We'll call it a day.
I know you said you don't want to get real deep into it, but that was one of the first, like, when they go after the Soul Stone, like, that was the first time I teared up.
Yeah, I mean, it was, yeah, I mean, because basically everybody comes back except for Natasha. So there, we told you that's her sacrifice for that one.
Yeah, and it didn't even cross my mind, with Infinity War, he threw Gamora off and had to sacrifice somebody to get the Soul Stone. And it didn't even cross my mind, like, when they were on the way to go get it, until Red Skull showed back up and was like, "Oh shit, one of them's about to die. One of them's going to have to die to get that Soul Stone."
Yeah, I mean, I predicted, it was going to actually be Captain America, trying to get it. But, that's just really going off of some, crazy shit. But of course, it was, the Hawkeye and Natasha scene.
Well, and it was something that I don't think anybody saw coming, because they've already announced that they're doing a movie, like a Black Widow movie. So obviously now that has to be said as a prequel.
Yeah, and to me, man, I hope it does it justice, because, like, I think that's almost maybe one origin story I could almost do without.
Yeah, I like her as a character. I think I was more like, I felt the loss more because of the relationship between the two of those that they had built versus just losing her as a character.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, like I said, we all got back to the rendezvous point. Tony builds an Infinity Gauntlet. The Hulk convinces him, since he's been around gamma radiation, the stones put off that and whatever, that he's the one that's able to, wield it. And during this time, I mean, we're probably like 2 hours into the movie at this point. It's getting deep, but I didn't mention, that if you've seen the movie by now, and we're not spoiling it for you, you know that Nebula ran into alternate timeline Nebula, which we're going to call evil. I guess we can just call her Evil Nebula. Or we can call her 2014 Nebula.
Yeah, original Nebula.
Or OG Nebula is now in current timeline, and literally current timeline Nebula is in the past, and like literally Thanos is like downloading and reading everything that his history is right now. So
something about the radio frequencies or that she transmits on or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's some weird glitchiness, how they connect. I guess I don't know. I didn't get deep into it, but it made understanding. But it was like some R2D2 type of shit to me.
Yeah, it made the little alien Squidward looking dude made the comment that it was something to do with the frequency that she transmits on, and so OG Nebula was picking up the same, was able to access the same data that like 2023 Nebula had or something like that.
So, I mean, during that time, like Tony's built that gauntlet, Hulk's ready to wield it, and he does the snap, to reverse everything. And, it's like you can see Hulk's hurting from it, like wielding that, like put some burn on him. Not as bad as it did Thanos, but like it put him down, And at this time, old Nebula, which is in current Nebula time, had figured out how to shoot Thanos into the future. And he's up there in his sanctuary ship, and he lays down hellfire on the Avengers HQ.
That was another little plot hole for me. Like, I know she took the little piece off of the 2023 Nebula and came back with them to like infiltrate them or whatever.
Yeah.
But they said that everybody only had so many of the Pym particles, like the Hank Pym particles. So,
well, she took it from Nebula.
Right. So
when she
come back, but I don't understand how Thanos was able to come back.
Well, yeah, I guess unless she was holding on to somebody, I don't know. That gets into another. Yeah, that's a plot hole. That's a plot hole I don't even want to get into because it's just one of 1,000 plot holes.
Yeah, like I said, in the moment, I didn't think about it. Like, how did he time travel back, and eventually, how did he time travel and bring like his entire fucking army with him? But
there's where there's a will, there's a way. I guess.
Yeah, in the moment, I didn't consider it, but looking back on it, I can see that as a plot hole.
Oh yeah. And after he rains basically that hellfire down on the whole Avengers HQ, and like everybody's like, there's rubbish and rocks and shit everywhere. You see Thor just standing up outside, and Captain America and Tony meet up with him. He's just staring at Thanos because Thanos is just sitting there. They've already done the dirty work for him. They've got him the stones, so all he needs is just to find wherever that gauntlet and the stones are. Yeah,
and he sends Nebula after it. He basically sends OG Nebula to go do his dirty work.
I mean, yeah, she's evil. She hasn't, seen what all hell's, happening yet. And he's seen his whole future by now, Oh yeah, and then the trio, which is Tony, Thor, and Captain America, they go down and just have a little 1-to-1 with Thanos. Like, yo, what's up, man? What do you want?
So let me ask you this: and at that point, when they start fighting, and of course they're going back and forth and round and everything else, why do you think Captain America was finally able to pick up the hammer?
Man, hold on, that's my favorite part of the whole movie, dude. And that gets back to Civil War when they're around the round table trying to. Or is that Civil War when they're trying to lift the hammer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's able to nudge a little bit. And, that Thor, and then Thor, he always knew the only people that could wield it at all are people that are worthy. And but yeah, that was that's my favorite part. Like when I saw Captain America able to grab the hammer, dude, I got so giddy in my heart. Like all that sadness that this movie had put on me, like it was on hold for a minute.
Yeah, but why all of a sudden do you think, like, because I have a theory, that's what I'm asking you.
Oh,
why do you think all of a sudden he was able to control the hammer or pick up the hammer?
Man, I don't have a true theory on that. I mean, I just know that Captain America's like, he's the pure of heart person, and I think, after the snap, like it kind of like broke that balance of him being like Mr. Goody two shoes, and like probably having like a balance of like good and bad.
So the plot line, or one of the plot lines in Civil War, he was trying to protect Bucky. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And it was revealed that Bucky had actually killed Tony's parents.
Okay, yeah.
And Captain America knew that the entire time and finally come clean. So, like, I think that's what held him back. Like, he portrayed this wholesome character throughout this whole series, but he knew that secret. And, like, he finally got it off his chest, and now he's legit wholesome. Like, that's why he was able to pick it up.
Do you think Captain America's a virgin the whole time?
I mean, maybe. We didn't even talk about how Thor brought the hammer back with him from his time jump.
Yeah, I mean, he was drunk and he basically stole that thing.
That's how the hammer got back.
Yeah, be like, drunk Thor came and stole your hammer, but like, I wonder how
2014 Thor doesn't have a hammer anymore.
Yeah. I mean, what kind of alternate timeline did that shoot off? But I mean, they're only gone, I guess in their reality for a small amount of time. I'm not getting back into it. But yeah, he's got Mjolnir and he's got Stormbreaker now. So I mean, he's got both, But Captain America was able to wield Mjolnir, and the way he was able to just strike down and beat the living shit out of Thanos for that couple seconds, like that fight scene was probably like one of my favorite fight scenes in the whole movie. Just like it was full of action,
And it had one of the good lines where he says, "No, you take the little one," and gives Captain America the hammer.
Oh yeah, I mean that's that Thor comedy, man. It's killing it, and especially with not having Quill in it right now because he's reversed from the snap, or the snap's been reversed, but they haven't shown up. That whole Thor comedy is really good. It helps break out that balance. But at this time, Thanos unleashes his whole army again, like in Infinity War. But it's like way worse because he knows what went down last time. He knows like I got to bring out all the guns.
That was the next moment when I got a little teary eyed. Is whenever we had people start showing back up.
Oh yeah, when all the sorcerers are like just making their little circle jump like time things and they're just coming through. But I'm like, damn, like y'all have only been unsnapped for like 3 minutes or so, or however long, and all these sorcerers know where everybody was and was able to bring them back like that. I'm like, all right, I'll go with it. I'll go with it because I will say, Doctor Strange, he saw the future, so he knows where they're at. He can't tell anybody what's going on, but he can be like, all right, go here, and bring all these people at the same time. I guess that's one way to get away with it.
Yeah, and there was another little callback to where when Falcon comes flying in, he says, "On your left."
Oh yeah, like when they were running on the track.
When they were running on the track.
Yeah, and there's literally a game of hot potato the whole time with the gauntlet.
Yeah, we get the good moment of Spider-Man coming in and getting the hug from Tony, and then they start playing hot potato.
Yeah, I mean that hug, like that reminds me of like when they're in the car. And, he's like, no, I'm just opening the door for you. And now he finally gets that hug from Tony, which was nice. But, I mean, like I said, there was a bond between those two that's almost unbreakable.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a whole lot of why he decided to go back and try to fix things.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it was eating him up alive. Even though he's got his own daughter, he's like, I let this boy, he didn't survive.
Yeah, somebody that depended on him solely and, like, trusted in him exponentially.
Yeah, but then out of nowhere, here in mid fight, while they're playing hot potato, here comes Captain Marvel. She just comes swooping in, and literally just shoots through the sanctuary like it's nothing. And two hits and it's done with.
Yeah, she come in full force.
Yeah, I'm like, why couldn't you shown up like 10 minutes earlier, yo?
And then you get a really cool scene of they do like a kind of a call or maybe even foreshadowing of the A-Force, which is like the all-female Avengers.
Oh yeah, I mean they had to do that for all kinds of reasons, but I liked it. I mean I'm like, all right, let's get all the girls together.
Yeah, because you had Captain Marvel, you had the Valkyrie chick, you had
you got the Wasp, Scarlet Witch.
They all come in and was Pepper was there.
Yeah, you got Pepper. That's the rescue. And here's the thing. How does she? I mean, has she been training in that suit for the last 5 years? Like, is that how good she is?
Well, she got the suit at the end of Iron Man 3.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't know that she's been using it until like you literally see her showing up on this and like, all right, go girl.
Yeah, leisure time.
Yeah,
she's had 5 years.
Yeah, she has had 5 years. That's enough, I guess, to learn it all. At that time, Thanos gets a hold of the gauntlet, but Tony pulls a little hat trick and his suit absorbs the stones real fast and he has it. And that's when we get the new snap.
Yeah, and I love his throwback to the original Iron Man, like that closing line of the original Iron Man movie.
But that snap, man, like Thanos got a taste of his own medicine.
Yeah, and he just kind of sit down and took it.
I mean, after the sanctuary was destroyed, like he knew, like I'm a little fucked, and that's when he went for the gauntlet, and then that didn't work, and then Tony does the snap and kills Thanos, and all of his whole army, but he couldn't take it. Like that's when we're losing Tony, and that's when I really got emotional.
Yeah, he comes in, and you can visibly see that he's pretty jacked up.
Oh yeah, I mean he hasn't had really long enough to recover since they got off the ship and they had to IV him.
No, it's been and movie timeline. It's been 2 days,
Yeah.
if
So I
that.
mean, I don't care how many little good juju's IV bags you've had. That's not going to help you. And of course, Peter Parker and Tony have their little goodbye. And then when Pepper came up and said that you can rest now, like I lost it, dude. I'm talking about tears were just rolling down my face, and I'm like, damn. I'm
Mhm.
like, how can one movie, like one whole series, like you get so connected? And I mean, they did like their job. Like, I'm pretty sure everybody in that whole theater was like tears rolling down their face. If not, I mean, I condemn you. You're a bad motherfucker.
I mean, that was one of the points where, in our theater at least, like you could have heard a pin drop. Like seriously, like nobody was saying anything, nobody was moving, nobody was eating, drinking. Like it was just like, holy shit, Iron Man's really dead right now.
Oh man, there was like a kid in my theater that was crying around this time. Like it wasn't bad, but I'm just like, damn. I'm like, this is a 3-hour movie. You know better. You fucking know better. Do not bring a kid to this theater.
Oh no, we had a really good crowd. Like it got so quiet, it was eerie.
Man, and then it kind of like turns off to the funeral, for Tony, and there's a lot of familiar faces showing up. And I know you sent me a message afterwards and were like, who is this? And I was like, man, that's the kid from Iron Man 3.
Yeah, that random ass kid.
Yeah, I mean, because you knew who basically everybody was, but you see this one kid and you're like, let me put 2 and 2 together real quick.
Yeah, because you see they're all in their little groups because they do the little funeral and send his like little arc reactor.
Yeah.
Because it says this is proof that Tony Stark has a heart.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been a kind of arrogant asshole.
But they send it floating off down the river, and like it showed all the little groups, and you see Nick Fury back for the first time. But I was really like, who the fuck's that random ass kid?
Oh yeah, and I mean, right after that, I mean, you got Thor and Valkyrie, standing out there in New Asgard, and he's basically, giving the throne to her. He's like, yo, you can do your thing, because now it's Ask Guardians of the Galaxy.
That gets into another plot hole for me. Like, are they chasing, like, because it kind of teases, volume 3 for them.
Oh yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah, and it shows Quill like searching for Gamora, but are they searching for dead Gamora who's now not in the Soul Stone because Black Widow is in the Soul Stone, or are they searching for 2014 Gamora who come forward in the time hop?
Man, it's hard to say. Like, I can only imagine that they're looking for the current timeline Gamora that's from, because, if Black Widow took her life, and sacrificed, that means Gamora, the Soul Stone, never did. But what if they return the Soul Stone in time? When Cap later on, and we're fixed to talk about that. We'll go ahead and talk about it now. The Soul Stone gets returned. So
yeah, everything gets returned. So if we're going by the theory that it got returned, and the snap still happened to get rid of 50% before we go into this movie, then Gamora's still dead, but 2014's not.
this is plot hole number 209 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I think you've got Thor just passed off to Valkyrie, and, you got the Ask Guardians of the Galaxy that's starting up, because that's actually the name of one of the comics. So maybe that's what Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will be even named, or that'll be, done after. But it's time to return all of the stones to their timelines and balance the universe back out, because they can't be missing for that long.
No, that was one of the things that the Ancient One told Hulk when he went back in time, was that if the stones were removed out of the timeline, it would create the divergent timelines, but if they were put back in place, then it would correct the timeline.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's. I'm not gonna, like try to look into this movie too much. Like, what you got was a 3+ hour great movie, and I mean, it's got, everybody's gonna have their own ideas and questions, but like, it's to the point, just get the stones back, and just go with the flow. But yeah, like I said, you cannot take them too far away from their own, timelines, or really things just go all wicked crazy. But who knows, what else is all gonna happen too, now that they've been gone for maybe like 10 seconds, 5 minutes, or whatever.
So yeah, he takes the stones back to put them back in place, and this is
And he takes the hammer.
Yeah, and it's the first. Oh, so I guess that's how 2014 Thor could get his hammer back. He could take the hammer back.
Yeah, he returns
I
the
didn't even
hammer.
think about that. It's the first prediction from somebody. I know we talked about predictions last episode, but my brother actually made the prediction about Cap staying behind.
Yeah, I mean that was. I mean, I think some people saw this coming. He basically, they sent Cap off to return the stones and the hammer, and he didn't come back. And that you look to the bench. Bucky's off looking to the and he sees this old man sitting on a bench, and he literally just tells Sam to go over there, and it's Cap, and he's 100+ years old.
Yeah, and so my problem with that scene is, like, I know he ages at a different pace than everything else and whatnot because of the super serum, and like he passes on the shield to Falcon, which is there's precedent for that in the comics and whatnot. But like Falcon or Sam doesn't have like the super serum. Like he doesn't have super strength and all the shit. Like
he's got wings, man. He's got Red Bull, wings.
Yeah, like I expected them to give it to Bucky before I expected them to give it to him, to be honest.
Yeah, Bucky gave him the nod, which is nice.
Yeah. So,
but Cap, he finally got that dance with Peggy.
Yeah, that's how the movie closes out, as we see him and Peggy back together dancing.
Dude, but seeing old man Cap, like it made me sad too. Like I was like, damn, I'm glad he went away this way. They ended it, and it was a good movie, and it's basically end credits.
Yeah, and it's a good way for him to write off Steve Rogers.
Yeah, like, I mean he's had his fun. He even made it. On I think it was on Twitter. Telling him it's been a fun run or whatever.
Yeah, because now we've essentially gotten rid of Steve Rogers and Tony Stark, so you've got room for two new characters.
Yeah, and basically, I mean, if you stayed around to the end credits, it wasn't really an end credits; it was just the Marvel logo. But you hear the clanking noise, which sounded almost like the same iron clanking from Iron Man 1. But
yeah, that's the popular theory that I saw.
But it made me think. A friend of mine brought this to my attention that possibly it was the kid from Iron Man 3, like either building a suit or putting on a suit.
Oh, the kid from the funeral?
Yeah, I mean, why else was he there? I mean, there's got to be a certain reason why he was there. I mean, of course, his daughter Morgan, could be putting on a suit too, but there's something very strange about why are you putting this one kid of all the people and out of the whole MCU and all the, movies in this one episode, this one ending.
Yeah, that kind of makes more sense. Have him kind of set up as the next Iron Man.
Yeah, that'd be good. But I mean, it was end credits. It's the end of a saga. Like I hate to see it go, but in the way, I mean, I'm glad to see, what's moving on to phase 4 or whatever.
And I really liked like how they went through and did like the traditional Marvel thing and like showed like pictures and stuff of like the cast. And then they had like the signature cards for like the main people. That was really neat.
Yeah. So, I mean, all you need is like the Social Security number or like their American Express cards, and you're pretty good.
Yeah. Just get hacked.
Man, that movie, Micah, this movie, if you were to collect it, where are you going to put this movie?
Oh, man. All right. So, initial walking out of the theater, I would tell you collector's edition. Like, put that shit in a box. Like, it goes above the top shelf. I want it put up somewhere. And based off of everything it done for like the movies previously and wrapping them all up, like, I still feel that way. But the more I think about the plot holes, like I'm digging myself too deep into it. So I'm going to say top shelf, but I want it to be collector's edition. Like if it's not in one of like those sealed like glass cases, like plexiglass cases where I'm going to keep it and like keep dust off of it. But I would buy like one of the collector editions of the DVD release to keep it somewhere on the top shelf. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I was to probably get this in like a 4K steelbook, I'd probably go for that route. I mean, if they give me all 22 movies in one collection, are you going to buy them all like that?
No, that would be dope.
That would be dope. I mean, how many Blu-rays do you think it'd be? I mean, because I think a Blu-ray is 50 gigs. They might be able to like dual layer it by now. I don't know if that goes that far, but like 22 movies, that's a lot of freaking data.
Yeah, and like I said, they did a really good job of completing a lot of storylines, of paying homage to the movies that come before, tying up loose ends. just the time travel stuff is where I feel like they lost a little bit of their footing.
Well, I mean, the way I look at it, like they may have had a lot of this planned out, but over the last span of 11 years, it's hard to be continuing this whole timelines because I think a lot of it they're just winging it and playing it by the ear, and they're like, well, this is how it's going to go. We've kind of put ourselves in a corner. Let's just go with the flow, end it. It's the end of the saga. We'll keep going, a different route, because I know Captain Marvel's, the centerpiece of their next, whole run right now.
So, what about for you? Are you top shelf? Are you collector's edition?
I'm top shelf. Man, this is where it gets into the whole like digital versus physical thing. Like this is one that I would physically collect, and I don't collect a lot of physical copies of movies these days. So if I'm buying this, like I said, steel case, 4K, maybe I can get the Infinity War and Endgame, like dual, or maybe I'm gonna get like, all 22 of them in one piece. I mean, it's a big marathon.
Yeah, and like I said, it's definitely one of the top Marvel movies by all standards. It's just again, it's the time travel that gets me, because you start digging into the time travel, and that goes for any time travel movie. You start digging into time travel too much, and it starts losing its footing.
Oh yeah, man. But like I said, great movie. I'm glad we got to see it. Man, like one of the all-time favorites for sure.
For sure. I guess we can go ahead and jump into our final little segment right here and go ahead and wrap this thing up.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is From the Top Rope with Micah.
So, From the Top Rope, if you listen to our first episode, that is going to be our wrestling corner, where we're going to talk about that fake stuff that I like to watch, that male soap opera, and just hit on a few hot points.
Yeah, man, tell me what's been happening in the wrestling world, man. Fill me in.
So, one of the big things that happened since we recorded last was the superstar shakeup that they had for WWE. Basically, what that does is you can take some superstars from SmackDown and you move them to Raw, so they have fresh storylines. Some from Raw moving to SmackDown, bring some up from NXT, which is like their developmental, and it just kind of jumbles everybody around to where they have fresh storylines.
So it's kind of like the draft.
Yeah, kind of, but they don't really call it the draft anymore. They that's what it started as, and now it's just called the Superstar Shakeup.
I gotcha.
And the thing they've started doing more recently is they've started trying to keep couples together. So there are a lot of couples that are like together in real life that are on the shows. So they've started trying to keep a lot of couples together, but it's almost made it weird, like with this year's instance of the Superstar Shakeup, because they moved some people and then they moved them back without any explanation and storyline. And then they had like some teams that were together and then now they're not together because like SmackDown is it's currently on USA Network. Well, it got bought out. The rights to SmackDown got bought out by Fox Broadcasting. So like they moved Andrade to Monday Night Raw, and therefore they moved his manager Selena Vega to Monday Night Raw. And then her in-life husband is Aleister Black. So they're all on Monday Night Raw. Well, then Fox comes through and says, hey, we just paid you all these millions of dollars. When it comes to SmackDown on Fox, we would like a Latino group because they have like Fox Latino or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
So then they have to move Andrade back to SmackDown. They move Selena with Andrade, and then because they move Selena, they have to move Aleister Black. So
I'm gonna have to draw that on paper. It's a good time. It's a timeline.
It's about like the timelines of Avengers. It's all over the damn place.
Oh yeah.
And then they brought up the NXT tag team champions, and they were called War Raiders in NXT. They bring them up, and they don't want to call them War Raiders on the main show because Vince McMahon doesn't like the word war. It's like one of the reports said that he won't use the word war in anything that's on like a USA or a Fox.
Oh man.
which is ironic because in NXT they were called War Raiders. In NXT there's a pay-per-view called War Games, so whatever. But they changed their name like without even like saying anything, without even doing anything. They changed it to the Viking Experience.
Yeah, I saw that on social media. I was like, okay, but I feel like that's almost like geared towards like, your whole Game of Thrones thing's going right now. So it's like a good, like, let's draw in some more attention by going that route too.
Well, the problem though is like, not only did they change their tag team name from War Raiders to Viking Experience, they changed the characters' names. So instead of Ro and whatever Homeboy's other name is, now it's Eric and Igor or something. And then they got so much backlash off of it. The next week they changed their name again, and now it's Viking Raiders, but their finishing maneuver is called the Viking Experience.
Oh, that's like, dumb.
Yeah. And now they're talking about changing it to Viking Raiders. Like they can't, it's just, they're grasping at a lot of straws, and they're trying to do too much instead of just War Raiders was fine. I mean,
at this point, just delete them and just bring in some new people. I mean, you've just make them disappear.
Their biggest thing, like on the Independents, their name was War Machine. So it already had been changed from Independents to NXT. And then it got changed. And now it's got changed again. And now it's likely to get changed again. Like,
that's crazy.
Good Lord. Ambrose is leaving. Dean Ambrose is done. He was a member of the Shield when they first got brought up to the main roster. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns.
Okay, yeah. I thought it was Roman Reigns.
Yeah, so Ambrose is officially gone. They had like a little WWE Network special where they had their final match ever until, 5 years from now or 3 years from now when he decides he wants to come back and have a reunion and get paid again.
Yeah. Speaking of people that might be coming back, or not really coming back, I saw a little segment that it was recently Kane's birthday. And, the real big red monster. He's actually the mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee, if nobody knows that. But he mentioned his little segment that he's not ready to hang up the mask just yet. So, maybe we'll get to see, one more segment of the Brothers of Destruction, possibly.
I'd be okay with that. Undertaker come back. The Raw after WrestleMania or the SmackDown after WrestleMania. And like he's gotten in better shape. Like he's still Ric Flair old, but he's gotten back to being in better shape.
Yeah, I mean, if that old, that means they have to fight. What would it be? Triple H and Shawn Michaels.
Oh, Shawn Michaels is looking rough, buddy.
Oh man, yeah.
The only other big thing that WWE was that I can just kind of throw out is there's been a whole lot of talk of Sasha Banks leaving. She was one of the. She teamed with Bayley. They were the first women's tag team champion, but I read a report that said that they lost their titles at WrestleMania, and like she literally like laid down on the floor in the locker room and like threw a tantrum because she was mad.
Oh man, that's crazy. It's almost like that Ronda Rousey tantrums after losing the UFC.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that's storyline or if like she's legit leaving, but she hasn't been there since WrestleMania. She hasn't been on any of the shows since WrestleMania.
Maybe she's really just taking personal leave, and that's the story they're going with right now.
It could be, and everybody needs time to recover and stuff. Daniel Bryan hasn't been on TV since WrestleMania, but his is because of injuries.
Oh yeah, man. So I wanted to throw in on your little from the top rope segment is I started looking up the history, of what's going on like this day in history on like the day we're recording. So like it's April 28th right now. So I looked up what's happening in the history, and I noticed on 1999 on WCW Live, Rick Steiner defeated DDP for the World Heavyweight title, which that's a pretty cool piece of little history.
You said Rick Steiner?
Yeah, Rick Steiner defeated DDP. So, I mean, that's I want to go back and rewatch that. So maybe I'll even put that in the show notes if I can find that clip. And then I was like, that's WCW. So let me look on, what happened in the WWE world. And on Raw back in 2003, Kane, which we just talked about, and Rob Van Dam defeated Ric Flair and Triple H for the World Tag Team titles.
I actually remember that one.
So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, I'm going to have to go back and recap those because that's more of the time that I actually watched wrestling, more so back then.
And you were talking about WCW. The only other kind of wrestling related news that I've got, they announced with AEW, which is the one we talked about last episode, like the up and coming that's going to kind of compete with WWE.
Yeah, for sure.
Goldust has left WWE and joined AEW because his brother Cody Rhodes is the one that's kind of the main promoter for that. So Goldust is Dustin Rhodes, which is Dusty Rhodes is they're his two sons. So Goldust is went over there and he's going to be Dustin Rhodes now, and they're fighting for their first pay-per-view.
No, that's what's up, man. Maybe we'll get lucky and somebody will share that pay-per-view on Facebook.
Right. And they're really close to striking a TV deal, supposedly, or announcing a TV deal that is going to be on. They're either going to be on TNT or TBS, supposedly, is what the rumors are.
We'll have to look forward to that, man.
And I guess I could have brought up in a water cooler, but there's a show that you should check out if you have the channel Viceland. It's called Dark Side of the Ring. And they're doing a whole lot of like in-depth stuff on things that have happened, like bad stuff that's happened. So like the first episode was first episode was the Montreal Screwjob, I think, where it goes kind of behind the scenes and showing how Bret Hart got screwed out of the title. Second episode was Bruiser Brody, where Bruiser Brody got killed in a match, or not in a match, but in Mexico. He went down for a match and got stabbed in the locker room.
That sounds pretty wicked.
Third episode was Macho Man, and they talk about Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth and how they both ultimately end up dying.
Is that the one where Jake the Snake talked a lot in that episode?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I saw the promo for that because his Macho Man impersonation's pretty spot on. But I mean, that's just that old raspy voice, and it mixes in pretty perfect.
And I didn't know. Of course, I was younger when it happened, but I didn't know like Miss Elizabeth had died from like drugs and stuff, like while she was having an affair with Lex Luger. Like that was something I found out from watching that show, and I was like, "Holy crap!"
Oh wow, man! Yeah, I'll have to put in some time and catch up on that.
Yeah, it's pretty good, and I caught it on demand, caught up through the first 3 episodes, and then they've got Mick Foley has signed on to be like the narrator for the next newer episodes, so that's kind of cool too, because I'm sure that dude's got some stories.
No, he's also got some personalities.
But yeah, let's go ahead and put a bow on this baby.
Oh yeah, man! I will cut that rope or whatever.
So we'll go ahead and jump into our new and improved outro. Instead of me going through and like giving you guys all the links and all the handles and trying to figure out like where to find us and all that jazz.
Yeah, but speaking of links though, see where I got some shirts made for us, man. We got accepted by Amazon merch account. So we if you look on our Instagram and our Facebook, I posted up a post that's giving away an actual Avengers Endgame poster and a t-shirt. So all you gotta do is like, share, and follow that post, and we're gonna give away a poster from the Avengers Endgame and a t-shirt. Which is if you don't win and you can't wait for a shirt, we're just gonna give you the link to where you can get those shirts at.
Yeah, that link is at digitalcartridgepodcast.com. All those links are at the bottom of the page. It's still redirecting to the Podbean, right?
Correct. Yes, it is. So, I mean, there's links to iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher. I can't even think what else we missed, but like, there's all kinds of things that are coming. You get your shirts. We got a Patreon that's coming soon.
Yeah, and you've got some cool tier ideas that you talked about that are going to be set up on there.
Yeah, I've got some really good stuff's coming. So, I mean, the only way to really find that is, is to join the Patreon. We're not going to have it up and running yet, but it could be up and running the next 2 weeks, or maybe hopefully no longer by the 4th episode, because I got some stuff that for these tiers that I got to get ready, and it's gonna be pretty freaking epic.
So yeah, check us out, digitalcartridgepodcast.com. Like Sean said, all the links to social media are down there. Go buy a t-shirt. We've got 2 different designs on there right now. More designs are coming. You've got the link to the Patreon. Of course, the show notes are going to be there. What else?
You can give us a call. You can give us a nice little phone call.
Yep. So that phone number is 470-DIGITAL. That's 470-344-4825. If you leave us a voicemail, we will play it as part of our stinger. We'll respond to it. We'll listen to it on air and give you all kinds of not sex advice.
Yeah, because as of right now, the count for that is 0. 0 calls. But I will tell you that we do have some iTunes 5 stars. So I think we're up to like 6 5 stars right now. And we do have a review on there too, which is, our first and ever review. And it just says, I swear I'm not a host wife, but it's the best show in existence. I don't know where that came from, Micah.
No idea. I did not do that.
But do us a favor, man. Go to iTunes, drop us, 5 stars, and even write us a review and tell us how much you like us, or how much you don't like us. We'll still figure it out.
Yeah, and all those 5-star reviews help populate our show to reach more people, reach a broader audience. So help us out.
And if you think you want to, give us some suggestions, hop on over to our Facebook or Instagram, and find us, and just tell us what you want to change, or what you want us to hear us talk about.
Yep, because I promise I will act like I listen to you.
Oh man, we'll listen to you. If you really want us to listen to you, just do us a favor and call on in.
Call, leave a voicemail. I'll definitely have to listen to you then.
Oh yeah, for sure. Man, I guess we haven't even talked about what we're going to talk about next episode.
We mentioned the other day, we kind of kicked around.
Oh yeah, you and me, but we haven't told the listeners what we're going to talk about.
Oh yeah, they're listening, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I hope you're listening to by now. I mean, we're pretty deep into it, but this is one game that had me yelling at the TV like no tomorrow. Like, a lot of games don't make me rage, but this game made me want to break everything in the whole house.
I like how fast I'll save it for the episode, but we are going to be discussing Cuphead.
So, do you get to be Cuphead and I'm Mugman, or you Mugman and I'm Cuphead?
I'm a cup guy. I like cups.
Okay. I see you, P.
I'm going to have that freaking Pitch Perfect song stuck in my head now. The cup song.
Well, we'd play it for you, but I don't get a busted for copyright, so put that in the show notes too. But yeah, man, we're going to be covering Cuphead for our next episode in 2 weeks.
So yeah, let us know. Drop us a line on Facebook if you played it. Tell us what you thought about it. Or better yet, send us a voicemail.
Yep, it's been fun. It's been real, but see you in 2 weeks, people.
Bye.
Give me one single word, any one single word that you can think of.
Vagina.
Vagina. Oh, man.
Vagina.
I don't know if that's going to work out for you.
I forgot to look. I need to pull up what we're talking about. Vaginas. I need to pull up the poll and see what was the final numbers.
A vagina on Urban Dictionary. Holy shit, that is a long... Holy Jesus. A vagina, the thing that will at some point take over a straight man or lesbian woman, depends on how you roll's life. Remember when we were little and played games and stuff? Yeah, that was great. Yeah, what that'll happen? We discovered vagina. A way of breaking the silence in a crowded room. Just yell it out. Vagina. In
Vagina.
economics, it's a form of payment and accepted in many places, more places than Visa. I'll pay for that beer with my vagina. Oh, I guess that's true. the most magical place in all the world. What are you doing today? I'm going to the most magical place in the world. Jamaica? No, idiot, the vagina. Lucky. Here's one. The best engine in the world. It can be started with one finger. It takes any size piston and changes its own oil every 4 weeks. It's only a pity that the management system is so fucking temperamental.
I plead the fifth.
Oh
on that one.
man, is that a stinger?